All right, cool. So we are here live in the penultimate episode of the Feb Rising read along with Iron Gold here, the first one in the new trilogy. And who knows how long we'll be waiting for book 6. But this month will be our last one in Dark Age. So I have not talked Iron Gold with anyone. Unlike the last 3 books, I had already discussed it with a bunch of people prior to now. So I'm interested to engage in this discussion. But real quick, I'm going to introduce our esteemed guest rejoining us from the very first Feb Rising video. We have Pete rejoining us. From the Golden Sun, we have Johanna rejoining us, and then we have 2 new guest panelists, Dr. Cait and Stephanie. So you guys can, Johanna, you start, just introduce yourself and your channel real quick, and then we'll start with a non-spoiler discussion before we go into spoilers.
Yeah, thank you again. Thanks for having me again, Alan. I'm happy to be here, and it's been fun to do this read along with you all. I am Johanna, and my channel's name is Johanna, and my channel's mostly focused on fantasy books with some sci-fi, such as this series, and I'm just happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Pete from the Ponderings of Pete. Again, as Johanna said, thank you for having me on again. I just, I love talking books, so this is perfect to talk books.
Oh, Klaus.
Oh,
Klaus.
Of course you're here.
Yes.
You go first.
Okay, my name's Stephanie from the channel Stephanie's Bookverse, and I do mostly fantasy and sci-fi as well.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I am the almost book doctor, and I mostly read fantasy and sci-fi and some nonfiction as well. There's his teddy bear that he killed.
Oh,
All right.
The card.
is that the Oracle of Alan Phi, right?
Oh, I didn't move that. Yeah,
Sure.
Oops. It's been there
You
since
want
last
to have graphic violence in the background.
It's not graphic violence. It is animal sacrifice consulting the gods. So anyway, guys, welcome. Iron Gold, which is book 4. So we'll go ahead and give initial impressions, and you guys in the comments tell us like how many stars you gave it. I'm still torn. I am still torn. Okay, so my non-spoiler like overall thoughts. There were okay, so I don't like anything that happened on Hyperion because it feels like a cyberpunk novel, and I don't like cyberpunk. Like I don't like cyberpunk like at all. But then the other 2 perspectives are kind of like they're more sci-fi, which I liked better. But overall, like I gave it like 4 on Goodreads, but I can't decide if it's a 4 or a 3.5 for me. I think it may have been my least favorite of the 4, but I didn't dislike it. I just think that I didn't like the whole thing the way I did the other 3 books. So, Johanna, what are your kind of like general thoughts?
Yeah, this is a really hard one for me to rate too. I haven't rated it yet on Goodreads, and I think I'm kind of, I'm a little conflicted. When I started the book, I really loved it at first. I was like really into it, and I thought this is really cool, and I like the direction this is going. And at some point, my interest in it kind of shifted, and I wasn't sure if I was connecting to it as much anymore. And overall, I just have so many conflicting thoughts, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But right now, I'm like you. I'm kind of between a 3.5 and 4-star. But I did end the book curious enough to definitely want to continue on. So for me, that's usually around a 4-star.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a hard one. It's a hard one for a lot of reasons. But I will say that overall, I do feel like Pierce Brown's writing style does improve a lot in this one, even though there were some things about characters and things that I'm not sure about.
Yeah. Pete?
I don't do star ratings because I'm trying to be punk, not really, but
That's fine.
I think out of all of them, if we're comparing all of them this series, it is definitely my least favorite of the series. But I also really like this series.
Yeah.
I think my main issue with it is that you're going from one perspective, one POV, to 4. And you're only increasing that page count by maybe 100 pages. So the level of investment in each character, my emotional investment in each character, was a lot lower. I think this should have been a 1,000-page book.
I understand.
There's so many scenes that I wanted just more.
Yeah. Stephanie?
Yeah, I actually agree quite a bit with Pete. I think that I just didn't have enough to get emotionally invested in the other characters as much, even though I felt like I really enjoyed reading from their perspectives a lot of the time. They were hit or miss, but some of them I really liked a lot. I think that his writing style improved. I like the change to the multiple POVs because I feel like that fixes some of the earlier problems that I had with Pierce Brown's writing in the first 3 books. So I think probably between a 3 and a 4 star for me as well. It was good. I liked it. I think his books are very engaging story-wise. They're very interesting. But yeah, I kind of wanted more to make myself more invested in it.
Gotcha. Cait?
I'm kind of on the same page as Stephanie and Pete. I haven't officially written my review yet because I finished the book this morning, but I'll probably give it a 3.5. I do love the series, and I can see why this book was necessary. It's a very big, for me, it felt like a giant setup book for the rest of the series. And I liked the multiple point of views, but I didn't like how short the chapters were. And it just felt like I started to get invested in someone's story, and then immediately we'd move to someone else. And it just tore me out of it. So like for the first, I want to say half of the book, I really had a hard time getting into it. I didn't feel as invested until the back half. And then the last 150 pages felt sort of like a Sanderlanche. And it was just like everything started happening. And then I was really invested.
Yeah. And so we're all kind of on the same page. I really like the series also. And so I think this might be my least favorite of the 4, even though it means close with Red Rising, because I didn't really like the first half of Red Rising, but it was significantly shorter. But my problem is everyone's kind of touching on it, is like what you just said, Cait, about how it felt like setup. It felt like so little happened in this book for like the first 3 quarters. I'm just like, what is this book about? And then every now and then they'd go back to Darrow, where something theoretically is happening, and then it switches back to where I'm like, what is going on in this book? And so we'll go into spoilers in just a minute, but yeah, and Albert is he's the biggest Red Rising series fanboy that I know, so he's I always like hearing Albert's POV about it. And yeah, I've heard, I think you guys have all heard good things about Dark Age as well, except for I think Angela and Sarah are the only 2 people I know that don't love Dark Age. So what did you guys think of the new characters in non-spoiler? Because I was fine with the multi-POV thing. I think personally, I found one of them to be a plot device who served no purpose other than to be a plot device. One of them was insufferable, and one of them was like, hey, I'm the main character of a noir novel, but it's set in cyberpunk and I'm edgy. And then we have Darrow, and then we have a character who, like, I want to punch him in the face repeatedly. Like, how dare you? How dare you? But again, we have to get into spoilers. So those are my non-spoiler, very cryptic thoughts. I hope you all knew which one each of those was.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. I just felt like I didn't care about the more edgelordy character. I didn't care what happened in their story. I wasn't invested. There was this weird like quasi-romance subplot that was, I don't know, it just didn't seem to fit the story. And it was supposed to make you care about the character, and it didn't make me care about them at all. It made it actually annoying, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the devices that Brown used to try to garner sympathy from the reader weren't effective on me. I just didn't feel very much sympathy for some of the characters. Particularly the one that you're talking about, Cait, I think.
Let's go ahead. I don't think anybody's watching this that hasn't read the book. So let's just go ahead and get into spoilers. It is weird when Volga is one of my favorite new characters, and she's not even PhD.
She was awesome.
Are y'all working on Volga?
I love
Volga.
I love Volga.
She was my favorite of the entire book, I think.
Yeah, she was awesome.
I feel.
Sorry, go ahead, Johanna.
Oh, I'm sorry. I loved Volga too, but I also felt weird about it because I'm like, we didn't even get much of Volga. Like, I can't tell you much about Volga. I just kind of knew her through the dialogue with Ephraim, and I hated Ephraim. So, but I especially hated him because of how he treated her. Yeah.
Near the end, I wanted to throw him over the side of whatever thing they were on. Like when he was telling her, like, just get away and I hate you. I just, how dare you?
So Ephraim is the Ephraim and the Lyria story are the ones on Hyperion. They're the ones that feel like a cyberpunk thing where I was just like, what? But Ephraim is one of these characters that I do. Like, I get that hurt people, but I don't like. It doesn't mean that I like you. Like, I get that you had like that the Rising betrayed you, and that Trig got murked in Morningstar. Like, I get it, but like you're being freaking rude, dude. Like, get over it. Like Volga, it's like kicking a dog. Like kicking how like when the whole trope is like the evil guy kicks the puppy to show you how evil he is. It's like, we get how traumatized you are, Ephraim. And guess what? Nobody cares. Like stop. Just stop. Ephraim was too much for me. Like, I didn't like him at all.
I feel like he could have either written a slightly different character or almost taken Ephraim out of the whole thing, and it wouldn't have made that much difference unless there's going to be a lot of the syndicate in the next two books. Because I can understand like needing to know the inner workings and stuff of that, but outside of that, he just was kind of a nuisance.
Yeah, I'm with Fit here. I liked Darrow's kid Pax in the little bit that we got to see him, like how he's kind of like he's kind of sensitive and intelligent, as opposed to freaking Victra and Severo's daughter, Electra.
She's awesome.
Like, I'm gonna murder.
I love her.
I thought the kids were awesome in this book for sure.
I love how everyone has a crush on Victra too. Like all the little boys are crushing on her.
Yeah.
She's terrifying in this book. She was terrifying when she like went after the ship in her like maternity armor. Like, do not mess with her.
And then at the freaking Lyria's last chapter, like, hey, here you go, traitor. This is what happens to traitors. Like, this is it's like hello from the Barca family. Yes. So Victra very clearly just put out a hit on Lyria.
Yeah. I think that's kind of follows her character really well, though. I mean, if someone came and took Victra's kids, I would expect nothing less than for her to get them killed, one way or the other.
Yeah. It's just frustrating because the miscommunication, and now Lyria not being there to testify for Mustang, and that if she wasn't listening to anyone, Victra was too upset. She wasn't going to bother to hear anyone's side of the story. All she was out for was blood. Yeah, and now that's going to cause a complication in later books.
So let me. We're just kind of bouncing all over here. That's fine. Let me posit this. One of my problems because Darrow, so my favorite part of the book was the Rim. Like the Rim and Romulus and Dido and that whole thing, I thought that was really well done. Like, I thought it was very, very distinctive from the core golds, how like the iron golds in the rim, like I loved that stuff. But before I get into that, my problem with, I am very confused about some of the actions taken by some of the characters we are familiar with.
Yes.
I do not understand what Dancer is doing.
Yeah.
I do not understand what Darrow is doing. I don't know why he killed Wolfgar. I don't know why, and I know it's explained, but I don't like that he is ignoring the system that he helped put in place. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense that Dancer, a former like higher up in the Sons of Ares, believes that the Ash Lord is trying to make peace. I don't know why all of these people who were like, you know, terrorists and were so, have seen how duplicitous the old regime of golds are, why they all of a sudden think that, you know, Magnus is like, does that make sense? Like, I was very confused by all of that. I like Darrow also.
Darrow was, I did not like him in this book. I was like, what happened to you? I thought you were a good person, and then he kept doing all these horrible things. I think the Wolfgar thing was an accident, though. At least that's how I read it. Like, he was trying to hit him in the arm or something, and then either Wolfgar slipped or he slipped, and he
There it is.
shot
Severo
him.
shot him.
He didn't do it on purpose, and I think that's what like it ate him up inside a little bit, that he killed his friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that it's kind of hard when you follow the same characters after such a big time jump, because in those 10 years, I'm sure there was a lot of character development and change and things they went through that have affected them. But we just know what they were right there at the end of that book. Then you have this huge jump and their characters have changed so much. And I think that's really frustrating sometimes when you're like, this is so out of character for them. But you're like, well, it's been 10 years of war. Their characters probably changed.
That is an excellent point. Pete, what are your thoughts on Darrow and the characters we've seen from the previous trilogy?
So with Darrow specifically, I was really frustrated because dad mode turned on. I'm like, care for your child, please. Mm-hmm. Please.
Yeah.
But I do understand both Dancer and Darrow's motivations in terms of stop seeing the Dancer's is more along the lines of, I think he was overly focused, and this wasn't really, I don't think this was explained very well. I think he was overly focused on the things that Darrow and some of the other golds were ignoring. So Dancer was like, we have to take care of these people that are getting downtrodden even by the system that we've created. And Albert right there kind of touches on that. So he wants to take care of the Reds. He's getting overly focused on that, and is getting really tired of war. I think at least one or two chapters from his POV could have cleared up a lot. Darrow, on the other hand, I feel like he went a little bit backwards from where he was at the end of Morning Star. And yeah, he's tired of war, but that's also the only thing he knows. So he's trying to almost protect the system he created from outside of the system. And I'm just frustrated because he's not put your kid first, please.
Well, and it was interesting to see the dynamic between Darrow and Mustang, right? I thought it was interesting that Mustang tried to arrest him.
I was surprised.
Great.
And I liked that scene, honestly, because you saw how even after all this time, and even though they're older, they still have trust issues. Like even in their marriage at this point, they still have trust issues. And you saw that obviously they had trust issues in the first trilogy, but I kind of thought it was neat to see it kind of circle back around even to now. And I don't know, I felt for Mustang, and that whole entire situation just seemed really screwed up. And it actually, Darrow's, what's the word for it? I mean, he's not complacent, but he's just sort of, I don't know, he's just tired. He's just dug in. And seeing that part of him, it made me like Severo more, because Severo, even though Severo is just very punk, that's how I think of him. He's like a very punk rock kind of character. I just loved seeing how Severo did care for his kids, just like you were saying that, Pete, that you didn't like that Darrow just didn't connect to being a father very well. I loved seeing how much Severo did care. And Victor, of course, too.
Yeah. Like at the end, I loved that at the end where, because Albert is right, like Mustang has to be the sovereign and Darrow can't stop being the Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, Severo's like, no, like I'm done, bro. Like I love the line, I don't want to raise your kid.
Yeah.
Like Severo, like he's like, dude, you're like, I followed you because like I am devoted to you and you are my best friend and we're brothers and you're Reaper. But I'm done. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. Yeah. I loved it when he said, I didn't even want to come. Like, I didn't even want to come on this because we didn't see that until that moment. We were just like, yeah, whatever Darrow does, Severo's on board. But he's like, no, I wanted to freaking stay behind with my wife and my children. Severo's tired of it too. And Darrow just can't stop. He can't let it go. And part of the reason I hate Dancer so much is because every year I lecture for a semester on Julius Caesar, and Darrow reminds me of the Roman Senate stopping Caesar from trying to fix the government. And Dancer's just standing in the way like the freaking Senate, like move and let Darrow fix it and Mustang fix it, please. Stupid Dancer and his stupid Vox Populi.
I feel like Darrow has the persona of the Reaper and all of the things that he has put upon himself, all of the responsibility that he has taken on, like he can't escape it. And especially with his relationship with Pax in the beginning, it's like he's almost unable to be a father because if he allows himself to be like that, then he can't do this thing that he feels like he has to. And so he can't be the person that he wants to be at all because he's put all of this pressure on himself.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion, but I kind of supported Darrow's decision in the end.
I hear. Albert agrees too. Albert agrees with you guys. Hot takes.
I don't know about Severo making the selfish decision, but I feel like for Darrow, that was the right decision for him. I think that ultimately, and this is just like speculation, but I don't think he would have had a kid with Mustang until the war was over. I don't think he wanted to do that yet. And he had that kid kind of in his plate, and he should have done better as a father, but he wanted to be that warlord. He wanted to end the war first before he had to have those responsibilities. And I don't think he could do them both. I think he was too much the warlord, focused on that, and he had to put that first. And so I think that choosing to do that seemed like something that Darrow would do. And I don't think necessarily was a bad decision for him, because how much can he do that Severo can't do if he goes back? But he can potentially save thousands of lives by going to save his people. So I don't know.
We'll get to the Minotaur in a second. One thing I really liked is that one of the themes in this book particular is the mythos and mythology surrounding all of these big characters and legends, like the fact that just the fact that Lysander's last name and his connection to Silenus lends what he says, and it's why they haven't killed him, because he's connected to the savior of the Golds, and then Darrow believing his own mythology that he's the Reaper. I forget who it is that accuses him of like you've literally just bought into your own mythos. Do y'all remember who accuses him of that?
Someone says you think you're God.
Is it Severo?
I think it probably was at the very end, like when Severo was just being like, "Screw you, I'm out."
Yes, Leanna. I also like the fact that everyone hates Darrow. Like everyone who isn't Darrow hates him.
Yeah.
I don't know what Lysander's problem is with Darrow, which is why I want to punch him in the face. I'm like, Lysander, your grandma's a tyrant. Like, what is your problem?
He half believes that his grandma's a tyrant, but I think that he's so ingrained in his birthright and what the Golds originally were that he's not going to be able to overcome that, and he still believes deep down that that's the right way. I just get, ugh, I don't like Lysander.
I do not like that. Okay. I do not believe that Cassius is dead. I'm just letting y'all know that. I don't buy.
I don't know.
I don't think so
No
either.
way.
No.
No way.
Pierce
No way.
Brown has a history
Yes.
of lying about people being dead. And we didn't see Cassius's body.
Yeah, no body, no death.
Yeah.
No
And
body,
even
no
if it-
crime.
Yeah, and it
When
was
he
just
kills
so
people, he-
anticlimactic too. The idea, like,
Exactly.
he died. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Cheyenne has a really nice comment that I actually really like. That, yeah,
Ooh, that would be. I don't think Darrow.
Oh.
I like that.
I really don't feel like he could ever go back to a real life. I don't think he's ever going to be the father he wants to be or the husband he wants to be. There's no way.
Albert, I love you.
Oh gosh.
Albert won't stand any slander about his boy Darrow being the hero of the Republic. So what do you guys think? We haven't talked about Lyria at all. I thought that Lyria, or Lyria, however you say it, I'm going to say Lyria. I thought that she was a plot device.
Yeah.
I didn't think that she had really any agency of her own at all. I do agree with Leanna here that I really did like how the Rising really kind of sucked for these people who were liberated, and then the Republic didn't give them any aid. Like, it just said, hey, you're out of the mines, enjoy.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy that you're not in the mines? And then it was terrible for them. Like, who are the Red Hand? Are these just the Reds who aren't Gammas that, like, hate everybody?
That's what I
What's
was
her
trying to
face?
figure
Harmony.
out.
It was Harmony. She's not dead
Oh,
yet. She should be dead, but she's not for
Harmony.
some odd reason.
Hate her.
Yeah, she's.
I liked how they made Lyria a Gamma though, because we see Darrow like fighting against the Gammas in the very beginning of Red Rising, and then you see everyone turn on them. And that was really brutal in the beginning of the book. Like, I had a hard time reading it. I felt so bad for her.
Yeah.
But I love the Telemanises.
Oh yeah, that was my best. That was the best part of Lyria, was the Telemanises.
Who could not? If I will fight anyone who says they don't like the Telemonises. Like, are you?
Yeah.
Johanna, hold on. Johanna looks suspicious.
What?
Tell me
No.
about the Telemonises. Okay,
I'm not.
I thought Johanna was about to be
I'm
like,
not
hot
fighting
take.
that.
The
No.
Telemonises are worse.
No.
I like how we put the jelly beans in her pocket to make it
I
seem
know, that was so cute.
mystical.
Kvax is a gem. He is just a gem. I love Kvax, and he's not. Does anyone else think no one thinks he's gonna die, right? Because he's not dead.
Oh, I hope not. He's my favorite.
I will riot.
I will
never die.
Holy War 2020, 2021.
And isn't his daughter with Darrow, right?
Yeah,
She's going to
correct.
Mercury with Darrow, right?
She got severely injured during the battle in the Rim. But yeah, she's with him.
So, Johanna, what's your take on Lyria?
I agree with you. I think she did seem much like a plot device. I was really into her character at first because I thought it was really exciting to see that perspective. And especially because, I mean, that's one of the biggest criticisms I have with any sort of revolution story is like that the revolutionaries don't ever have a plan. and that was a whole conversation that happened in the original trilogy. And you just see how everything is just kind of not working very well. And I just liked seeing from her perspective. And at the same time, I just kind of, I don't know. I just stopped getting into, I just lost, my interest just kind of waned on her after a while though. I don't know. I just didn't really connect with her after a while, but I think you're right because she didn't have much agency. But then again, it's like, was that the point? Like to show that she, I don't know.
Yeah, I
she
kind of
doesn't really have any
felt bad
agency.
for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leanna, everyone here hates Ephraim. Sorry, you're in a void.
I
But,
want Ephraim.
Story. I'm sad that she's dead because I wanted to see her, like, I don't know, interact more with Mustang and maybe like rise above where she felt like she could be and become like a part of something. And then it was just Victra got all Dom Corleone and just.
Is she officially dead? Did I miss that?
I don't think she's dead.
Niobe
No
is she's tough as nails. Like it's just a huge space woman showing up in her blue armor, just ready to pound faces.
Could somebody explain to me the end with Ephraim? Like, I guess he put grenades in the ship. Like, I just don't feel like I understood that part.
They overrode the controls on his shuttle, and the Syndicate was bringing it back. And so he blew it up. The only way he could stop it from getting sent back to the Syndicate was if he blew it up to where it wouldn't fly. So he's crashing it, hoping that the rescue team will get to it before the Syndicate. And that's the last we saw.
Okay. So the idea is that they did survive, or the plan was to make them survive. I was trying to understand what he
told them to take crash positions, but he knew that like if they got back to the Syndicate, they were all dead. So, or he was dead and the kids were, would be vanished. So he hoped that they were going to survive the crash.
Okay.
Do we know who the queen is?
We don't. And that is because we saw that some people think it's a red, some people think it's an obsidian. Yeah. We have no idea. But I will say the fact that the Duke of Hands made his guards leave shows me that he is not a good mobster. Like,
no, he's dumb.
Like, so anyone, if you just get Randy, anyone can just beat the crap out of you, because like real mobsters or like people who don't want to get shanked leave bodyguards in the room even when you're doing it, because otherwise all anyone has to do to kill you is just be like, hey, you want to do it? That's the easiest way to kill someone. Okay. So Cheyenne says, do you think we've met the queen?
Yeah, probably.
I think that would be cool if we have. That would be awesome.
Do you know what we don't love in this book? Quicksilver. I like Quicksilver.
Maybe Quicksilver's the queen.
That's what made me think of that, but I hope it's not. I hope that's not true.
I hope it's not too.
Harmony. That's I have to say that. It's definitely not Harmony. She's too stupid.
No, definitely not Harmony. No.
We haven't met that many other reds, though.
We have another question. Where is Sephi? What is Sephi doing? What is her role?
What if she's the queen?
She's my first candidate.
It'd be interesting.
And then she'd have all the obsidians behind her. Oh my goodness. That'd be crazy.
If she wants retribution for Wolfgar and Ragnar.
She'd have the motivation. Yeah.
Well, we know something is happening with Sephi and the Obsidians because they refuse to meet with Mustang. They refuse to something's happening.
Yes.
But we haven't. This is possible, Sarah. I mean, I think if it's people we've seen, that's as good a guess as any.
I think that's a good guess.
So before we move on to the Rim, I want to talk about so every one of the books, not counting the first one, Golden Sun and Morning Star, both had these really big reveals that you were just like, what? And this one theoretically had that as well. But I was really underwhelmed by the whole assault on Venus. The fact that I was the whole time when they're like, he hasn't been seen in 3 years. I'm like, is he dead?
I thought he was dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he's dead. And then he was sick. And I'm like, oh, I mean, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. But and then Darrow's flipping out. They're all flipping out at the end on what was the point. And I'm just like, I did not feel as invested in how panicking they were at the end as I feel like I should have been. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I mean, okay, I guess. So I guess because correct me if I'm wrong. The entire war has been waged by what's her name? Begins with an A. Atalantia. So the entire war has been waged by Atalantia because the Minotaur sent some kind of scorpion or snake or whatever to bite the Ash Lord. So he's been sick.
I only think for the last few years, though. It's not like the entire 10 years.
That's what I mean.
2 years
Sorry.
ago, I think he said.
The last 3 years.
Got all cushy in Deep Grave.
And so the peace treaty is the fake out by Atalantia, not the Ash Lord. Like, is that what's happening? And she's really secretly buying time to attack Mercury?
It doesn't make much sense because it's like, oh, the big surprise is it's not actually him, it's his daughter, and it's still his family, it's still his like people.
Hold on a second. What poisoned him?
Apollonius.
Oh, yeah.
Apple poisoned him.
I was like, you ate a poisoned apple? Where did I?
No wine up in here. Yeah.
I feel like it was a gross oversight on Darrow's part to only think that the Ash Lord was the major head of the Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that the whole idea behind that reveal was not necessarily like panic as much as, well, I guess there was panic there for sure, but more just like futility than like, we did all of this, we sacrificed all of this, and it for what? Mm-hmm. So that was kind of, but then of course there was panic because of their children and all of that at the end.
I feel like Darrow got angry enough, but Darrow didn't get as mad as I thought he should have. Like, Severo had the right idea. Like, we sacrificed all these people. We left our family behind. Now our kids are kidnapped. Like, and it was for absolutely nothing. And Darrow was just like, well, on to plan B.
Yeah. He was like that for a few minutes, but then he like suddenly was like, I'm going to be turn into the Reaper and be evil and angry or whatever at the end.
Johanna, that felt like the end of Dragon Republic, where Ren is like,
yes.
I'm the monster they should be afraid of, or whatever.
It's like the mustache twirling villain line she has at the end. Yeah.
Albert's right here, though, about like that's a good point. Is it was this war that took everything from Atalantia, so that's what turned her into this kind of warlord that she didn't really want to be. And then Leanna doesn't care about Darrow. Again, Leanna with the hot takes over here. Yeah. So
I didn't care about Darrow as much either. Like, he was probably one of my least favorite characters, him and Ephraim together. I just didn't feel like he was as entertaining as he was.
I don't know. I feel like I could have loved Ephraim's perspective. Like, I like those heists, and I thought it was really interesting, like the plotting and the heist and all that. I thought that could have been really, really cool. I just didn't like how it was done.
Stephanie, I'm tempted to agree. I think that if it wasn't a cyberpunk setting, and if it was in a different novel, I would have liked that whole storyline a lot better. I just thought that it got in the way of what I am reading Red Rising for. Like, I am reading Red Rising for the battle for the Republic. I am not reading it to watch Ephraim kidnap some children like it's a freaking cyberpunk episode of 24. Like, so Ephraim, like, I think I agree with you. I think I normally would agree with you because I also really love heists. But the problem is I didn't like Ephraim. I didn't like his stupid green person. I certainly didn't like his dumb red friend. I only liked Volga.
Yeah.
It's true.
That was something I struggled with for most of the book until those other characters were gone. It's like, I just don't care about him. I don't care about a lot of the side characters.
Yeah.
And I think Volga was the only one I liked. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I think it was like, I guess maybe the major issue with Ephraim was not necessarily that those were bad ideas, but it was more like it was just a tonal clash with the rest of the book is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I agree.
We're trying to do a space opera, and like you said, trying to do this sort of noir cyberpunk story. It just didn't mesh well with everything else.
I think he's trying to set up a fight for the Republic with the Syndicate, because the Syndicate's trying to like control the Sovereign. Yay! I don't think one, of course, time. He didn't give us enough time to understand that, and two, he just didn't really set up the Syndicate that well, I think.
Yeah. I think everyone was just too sad all the time, which was what annoyed me about the character. I loved the heist scenes. I especially loved the heist of like breaking into Deep Grave. I thought the whole idea of this creepy prison, like walking along the bottom of the ocean on Earth was really cool. It gave me like Avengers vibes, when they put them all in the prison underwater. I thought that was really cool. And I like Tongueless. No one's mentioned Tongueless. I like him.
I am suspicious as all heck about
him?
Tongueless.
You think he's working for the Minotaur?
He is doing something.
Absolutely.
You think he's a Apollonius crony?
He's a mole.
There's something going on with Tongueless because he just is. Like, you just know with how he was in that prison cell, no one knows who he is. He can't talk about who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going on. I'm not going to lie though, guys. I kind of like the Minotaur.
Oh, I liked him a lot. His
speeches and his singing, like, it's ridiculous.
He is just so he is just one of those guys who is just so self-aware and just kind of embraces what a terrible man he is. And yet he's so eloquent and like fancy. He's just this really fancy frat thug bruiser. I don't know. He's like a knuckle-dragging mouth breather who reads Plato and Socrates.
And plays the violin.
I know. I hate it.
Well.
Yeah.
But what were y'all's thoughts on Minotaur?
I liked him too. I found him interesting. I knew there was like something about. I was waiting for him to turn on them on Venus, and I mean he kind of did. So I love him. He is Shakespeare play.
He's in a Shakespeare play at all times.
Yes, he would wear a ruffled collar and everything.
That is perfect.
That's a perfect description. Yeah, like that.
I'm. Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I'm rooting for him to take over Venus. Like, I really hope he comes out on top there.
I feel like I think he will, honestly, but I feel like Darrow pulled this guy out of the prison because he knew he holds grudges like no other and wants revenge. And then at the end, Darrow betrays him and breaks their code.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, the whole reason you picked this guy is because he's a psycho who holds grudges. And then you betray him. Like, what are you doing?
So he's going to hold a grudge against you, and you're going to go down.
Oh, yeah. Apollonius is definitely Achilles in his own story.
The name Apollonius in itself is just grand and ridiculous, too.
The famous Apollonius of Rhodes was a famous rhetorician. Like, Caesar got sidetracked, but many like Roman politicians went to him to study rhetoric and oratory, because he was just this master orator. So I like that his name is Apollonius as well, because in a Shakespeare play, as said.
Pierce Brown does his research.
I agree with this statement.
Yes.
Mustang's
I know. I feel bad for her too. I really like Mustang. But what did hold on? Albert said something. Yeah, the new characters, like Alexander, Lorne's grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
That kid's a twerp, but I kind of like him.
I love it.
He's a huge twerp.
I like his dynamic with Rana.
Yeah.
Oh, Darrow
getting at each other. And that I love that she's stowaway on the ship. And she's like, no, you're not leaving me behind.
I like when the Minotaur shows up at like his little brother's pool party and just wrecks everything.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He's so funny.
He knows his own entrance.
I am really surprised that I liked the Minotaur, but I really did. Like, he was a standout for me in this one.
Yeah, he's probably going to play a big role in the next book, I'm imagining. Or
I am so eager to see what the next one is about. I do know. I flipped through the beginning, the part 1 of Dark Age. The two POVs, at least that I saw in part 1, Lysander and Darrow, which I think is really cool. That it's just back and forth between the two. Like,
that's the whole book. I looked because I was curious.
Okay, I was wondering about that. I kind of had an inkling that we weren't going to have Ephraim and Lyria in the last book, because so many people who are huge fans of the last book were like, yeah, I didn't like Iron Gold because of those two. So I'm like, they're probably not going to be around in the last book.
Oh man, I agree. If Tactus was
No.
alive, poor Tactus, having to grow up with like Apollonius as your oldest brother.
No way. No wonder he ended up the way he did. I've heard Dark Age is like bordering on grimdark, which will
That's what I've heard too. That it gets darker and darker as it goes along.
Yeah,
I've
I've heard
read
that.
a dark sci-fi like that.
So, with our last 15 minutes, let's talk about the Rim and the Lysander plot, which we have not talked about yet. I love like they're samurai guys, and they're extended, like their origin, the Rim, the Moon Lords, their origin is Japanese, and so they like have the Bushido stuff, and I'm a sucker for samurai crap. Like they're samurai, I love it, and we talked about in Morningstar how we liked that. Romulus, they don't give their kids cell phones until they're old enough to make their own decisions. So it's just I loved the Rim and the Rim Lords, and then Dido got what's coming to her when her thing just completely failed.
I love that reveal. I thought that was my favorite reveal in the whole book.
That was my favorite too.
Where Dido realizes, oh crap.
Chance rings a little bell, and you're like, uh-oh.
You're like, uh-oh, that's not good.
Nope.
Right.
I feel like the Raz and like the people in the Rim, they have almost the best working government system out of the three that we're looking at, because they're fair to everyone, they're honorable. I don't know. I know you're not supposed to think that, but I do.
Cassius killed Bellerophon, right?
Yes. I did not like Bellerophon.
No. But what did y'all think about Diomedes?
I liked it.
She was interesting.
Yeah, he's the one that's like, no, I'm not going to kill him. He's the Storm Knight.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's a knight.
He's the Storm Knight, the one that's like, Dido's like, kill him, and he's like, no. He's our guest. Like, sorry, Mom, I'm not going to kill him.
Okay.
He's lawful good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the Rim, but honestly, I don't really love Lysander.
No.
Yeah.
Like I love the Rim part, but I don't love him. So it's almost a little bit annoying to follow a character that I don't love in the part of the book that I like the most.
Yeah. I felt the same way, Stephanie. I felt the same exact way. I really struggled connecting to Lysander, and but I loved the Rim, and I was just like, this is, I don't know, it was conflicting for me for that reason.
Grandma Ra.
I know. That's crazy.
Right? I don't know. I was like, why are you doing this? What are you doing? I'm going to throw the book.
Like, how dare you betray this old lady? What?
That's cool.
But I have to say, though, family dynamics were really weird in that family to begin with.
That'd be cute. I like that.
That would be awesome.
Does the tale of Jason teach him nothing? No, you don't. You're supposed to carry the old women across the river, and then
I know. No, he betrays her. But yeah, the whole I thought it was just awesome with just like the revealing of who filmed it. Like, what is that? Who is that clip's perspective from?
Security camera.
Like, question.
Steffi, maybe? Wasn't she there?
So was it the Syndicate?
If it was her, that would make sense why she's like, I'm not going to associate with you anymore because you did this horrible thing.
Oh, I don't think she'd have a problem with that. She's pretty brutal, but she might do it just to take him down.
She was there, though, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah, and it never says who the perspective is from, but just watching, and then Romulus being who he is, being like, yeah, I knew. And yeah, I covered it up.
Yeah.
Because Romulus is trying to take care of his people. Like, Romulus is he doesn't want endless war like freaking Lysander, who thinks it's his birthright to usher in a new era of gold. How about someone shoots you out of the airlock, you little twerp?
Yeah.
Do you think that Romulus was suggesting in that last talk with Lysander, was he trying to suggest, that Lysander marry his daughter? Did you get that? Or was I just projecting that?
They definitely had a romance
too.
Like he was trying to set them up as like
To like combine the two houses.
Yeah.
But I thought Romulus was trying to keep them from war, and like he should have. Like I thought he knew that Lysander at that point was like a war hawk, or was that before?
He was trying to keep them from war, but I think at that point he'd accepted that since they found out that Darrow had bombed the shipyards. He's like, okay, we're going anyways. Let's combine these two houses, and then maybe we have a shot at winning.
That was how I saw it too.
Yeah.
This quote, I agree. When like he was telling Dido how much he loved her, like how they're
yes, I love
Her love
that.
was this like fairy tale, this like myth. I loved that.
That's
And
a
how about the
beautiful
fact-
quote. I love that quote. Yeah.
And how about the fact that he didn't make it the 80 steps?
Oh, I was
no.
so mad. Like, what? It's because he just sat there forever staring at him, freezing. I'm like, you gotta take off now.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh.
He stood out in the weather instead of saying, yeah, how cool was it that Cassius dueled like the entire house of Ra before
I know,
he
yeah.
Great.
Cassius is a badass. I love him so much. And if he is actually dead, I will be really, really sad. He was one of my favorites.
I also agree that Lysander was well written, but he is not likable at all. Oh, and speaking of this right here, Albert's saying the clip is from Felicia, the Bye Felicia thing.
Bye, Felicia.
Hey guys, how about freaking Ragnar as Chuck Norris?
Yes. It was hilarious.
No, Pierce Brown has to be stopped. This is unacceptable. You cannot bring in 20th century memes into stop it.
Like a Shakespeare joke at
I
some
love
point,
it,
too.
actually.
Shakespeare is timeless. Writing memes from the 20th century into your space opera is
I love it.
unacceptable.
That's a tied in the whole.
They use the ancient memes.
I mean, it's not as bad as that, but he did tie in the whole Dune litany of fear, and just in different words earlier in this book. I caught that.
In there.
Yeah. So I guess he really does like to do those little winks all the time.
I love it. I think it's so fun. Maybe I'm just basic, but I love it.
No, I think it's
I
fine.
like
It's
the
kind of
Ragnar
fun.
stuff.
I miss Ragnar.
You woke up today only because Ragnar decided you could live or whatever. The Ragnar doesn't do push-ups. He pushes down the earth. So stupid. So stupid.
If they ever make a movie version, we can make new memes.
Oh my gosh. But I thought the Rim, like, I'm with you guys. I hate Lysander, but I think the Rim is just so cool. I thought Dido is such an interesting character. Like, she didn't want to overthrow her husband. She just wants to be part of the, she wants to rule with him. And it did not work. And now
what do you think about Dido's motivations? Like when Lysander approached her and says he wanted to basically team up with her at the end, because it said something about like how she kind of got this sort of almost evil smile. I mean, he didn't use the word evil, but there almost seemed to be something suggested there, like she was already plotting and excited about some kind of scheme there. So it made me curious about where that was going.
The best I can think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The best I can think is that he's a loon, which means he's kind of like heir to the legacy of the Golds, and she's just going to use that somehow, or she thinks he's a kid who's easily manipulated, which is probably true. Because let's not ignore the fact that the only reason any of them are in that situation is because Lysander's an idiot.
Yeah,
Sandy's so dumb.
he needed to save the girl.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not, if I were Dido and some kid that seemed kind of dumb to me came up and was like, hey, I have connections to the second biggest military in the universe. You want me to help get them on our side? I'm like, yes, I'm good with that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Do we think, so she's from Venus. Do we think we're going to see a Dido versus the Minotaur fight? Is she going to try to take Venus back?
That's a good question.
She is Venusian. Cool. I forgot about that.
I love the grandma, Gaia, when she's like that Venusian.
Yes.
It's like
that Venusian
dirty word. Venusian trollop. She reminds me of like, I don't know why. She reminds me of like the grandma from Mulan or something, only more evil.
Oh, she is. Not only is she Venusian, she's from freaking the original Venusian settlers, the Carthy. Ugh.
Is there a connection to? Oh, there's an ancient civilization that I'm thinking of.
Maybe
I think Carthage. Yeah,
Carthage, the city of Carthage.
Well, Dido was the queen of Carthage in the Aeneid. So
there you go. Boom.
There we go.
Man, I bet Alan appreciates this book so much more just because of all his history knowledge.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I didn't know any of this stuff.
You should do like a Red Rising history video.
I know.
You should. That'd be so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
Like all the little stories for the character names.
Oh dang! I should do that. I'll write. I'll put that on my list.
Please.
Oh, hold on. So she wasn't a Carthy. She was a Saud. It looks like. Says.
How dare you?
How dare you, Albert? Mess up.
Got it wrong. But yes, Pierce Brown is definitely a history nerd. I definitely know that it's all on purpose. All of these. All of these. I like how conveniently no one has any of the names that are the names of the moons or the planets, which are also, like Roman names. Like there's no Europas or anything. Mm-hmm. But is Hyperion a city on the moon? Yes. Is that what that is?
Hyperion
that was also
and Endymion.
They are cities on the moon.
Yeah. On either side, I think.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, I was very.
It was going to take him like 2 hours to get to Endymion when.
Yeah, Hyperion's like the capital.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
I was thinking of the Dan Simmons books.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, I think that's a wink to that for sure.
Yeah, I really liked a lot that was in this book. I just don't think I loved how everything came together. Because talking about it, like there are many things that I enjoyed. I don't think as a whole I liked this book as much as I liked the other ones. But I love the Rim stuff. I'm excited to see where this stuff is going in Dark Age. Like I'm reading Dark Matter right after Shadow of the Gods, but then I'm not waiting till the end of the month to read my obligations like I did last month. So stupid. So I'm reading them first. So I'm going to read Dark Age, second, in my second actual book of June. So
well, Dark Matter goes super fast. It's a
quick. Yeah, you'll get through that really fast. What was I going to say? I was going to ask you something about that. Yeah. Oh, do you think this book would have been stronger if we had fewer POVs, or maybe like No Ephraim and Lyria, or do you think? Yeah, what do you think?
We had taken out Ephraim, it made Lyria's darker and more entwined with the Syndicate. Yes. That could have worked.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think we need Lyria to see how the Republic has failed its constituents. Yeah. I think she was important there, but maybe give her a little more agency. You can still have the Syndicate and the kidnapping all be involved. It doesn't need to be Ephraim. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, Pete, I think that might have made it a little more interesting, a little tighter, because I don't think we needed both Ephraim and Lyria, considering they were just in the same location. And I think Lyria is more important to the narrative overall as far as the stuff concerning the Republic and post-revolution. Ephraim is only important to the kidnapping plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like it would have been more impactful too when you find out that he was being taken advantage of if you didn't have Ephraim's POV, because you knew pretty much the whole time, like, oh, it's this guy. And
I think it'd have also, if they had done, so if he had done, Lyria starts getting involved with the Syndicate a little bit, and then actually kind of hears about a kidnapping plot, but doesn't know what it's about, or hears about the heist, and then ends up being involved with it in terms of like exactly what happened, where she's just like, oh, I knew somebody and they spared me or whatever. Like have Philippe still in there, essentially the Philippe character that she gets attached to.
Yeah.
And so she's partially complicit in the heist to a certain extent because she knew about it and she didn't tell anybody, even though she didn't know the specifics. That could have been more conflicting. Mm-hmm. And I think we could have seen a little bit more interesting guilt mechanics, especially with her and Victor coming after her.
Yeah.
So she could have been like, I guess I deserve this needle to the face.
Sorry, Delana. we're hurting. We're wounding her with our Ephraim slander.
Oh no.
Sorry. Yeah, I was
Cheyenne.
just wondering. I felt like it was just kind of I generally like multiple POVs, and I really like what he was trying to do with all these different POVs. But I just felt like at some point it did feel like it felt kind of disjointed, or I don't know, it just didn't quite flow as well. I can't explain it better than that. Yeah.
And this goes back to what you said at the very beginning, Johanna, that his writing definitely has improved. Like the prose was so much less inconsistent than it was in even Morningstar. There were no lines other than the Chuck Norris crap. There were no lines in Iron Gold where I was like, really? Like that's the description you're gonna go with? Like there was in Morningstar where I'm like, that's the sentence you wrote? Okay. So yeah, it was. I think as a writer, he has gotten much better.
Yeah,
I think he had more fun writing too, because like Lysander has a lot of really good lines, and he has more of an elevated speech, and so does Apollonius, and so he was able to like have fun with that too.
Yeah,
I do think that the 4 POVs, at least in the beginning, a little bit more, they all felt like aspects of Darrow. They didn't feel like they broke out that much.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lyria was Darrow as a red, so she has his rage and his naivete. Ephraim was just his angst. That's what he was. And then Lysander was kind of both his idealism and the gold part of him. Because I feel like Lysander is too much of an idealist for everything he's gone through, as well as his famous intellect that for some odd reason Darrow had as well, which never made any sense to me.
Honestly, I forgot that was a thing from the first one. Like that he's like he doesn't ever make genius decisions.
No.
He makes good tactical decisions that are good tactical decisions, but
most of the time.
We'll have to do the dialogue test, Pete, with the characters in Iron Gold and see if we can pass.
Oh boy.
My problem and what keeps this series, like I love this series, so I don't want anybody to think that I don't enjoy this series. I do. But the reason, what keeps this series from being an all-time favorite for me is how unpleasant everyone is. Like, I'm just, like, I like military stuff, and I do, and I love what's happening, like the events, but the problem is everyone is so unpleasant and mean and like, and just, or like angst-ridden, and that is what, like, I can't, that just keeps it from being, you know, like the all-time favorite series for me, is that I just, like, I wouldn't want to hang out with any of these people, ever. Like,
I know, Sandro would be fun to get a drink with.
I mean, yes.
Might stumble into an initiation.
Oh, I know Albert's going to be mad at me for asking this question, but do you all feel like you're rooting for anybody in this book or in this series at this point?
Albert has in his comments here, he's like me. He's like, he has no tolerance for anybody who like is even kind of seeming to betray Darrow, who is the hero of the Republic. I'm like that in so many other series. So I'm like, I understand him, even if I don't agree just on Darrow, particularly. Right here, look, there you go. There you go.
Yes, I know how you feel, Albert. I'm just curious if others agree. Do you feel like you're totally rooting for Darrow, or do you feel like, okay, or any other character?
I don't think that Darrow has the right idea. I don't think he is thinking long term. Like, he's just trying to get rid of the enemies of the Republic or the Rising. And so I don't necessarily think he's in the right all the time. I really want like Mustang to succeed and be happy and help put together the worlds again. So I feel like if anyone's going to do it, she is.
Well, let me ask one final question since we're at an hour. Who is you guys' favorite character as of now? As of all the first 4 books, who is currently your favorite character in the Red Rising extended universe?
Can you see people who died?
No, I mean, I guess it could be. I mean, you don't really have anywhere to go with that. Let's say of the people living. Let's say living character.
Okay. I'm gonna go with it's Thraxus Talamanos, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what, and I'm saying he's still alive at this point, so he counts. So.
Oh no, that's Cavax. Thraxus is his daughter. That's a howler with Darrow.
Ooh. No, I'm gonna go with Cavax. Sorry, I am bad with the names in this book. I am terrible with them.
That's totally fine.
Cavax.
That definitely counts because I also believe he is still alive.
Yes. I agree with that, especially after this book. Cavax like really jumped up a notch above Severo after this book, just because like him reacting to Lyria and being like, "Wait, you don't know how to read? I'ma teach you." Like that was such a great moment.
Papa Telemanis.
Yeah. Someone else?
He's still thinking, Johanna.
I don't know.
She hates everyone.
I guess. I mean, that's a great answer. I don't want to be a copycat, so I don't.
That's fine. You can.
I mean, I think that was like the most likable character.
Yeah. I like Cavax too. I love him a lot. I also am just, even though he was a crappy person in the first trilogy, I really love Cassius, and I want him to still be alive. In my head, he's still
John Galt.
So he counts.
There's so much Darrow love in the chat right now, guys. They're
so let me down in this book. That's why I'm not filled with the Darrow love anymore, because he just.
I'm not against Darrow, and I don't know. I'll probably feel bad for Darrow if something bad happens to him, honestly, but I don't feel like, Darrow. I don't feel like, I guess I'm not feeling the passion for Darrow right now for whatever reason. I think that it's like you, Alan. I think that that's why I feel conflicted about this series. Like, I don't feel like that's why I'd asked, because I don't know that I feel like this huge sense that I'm really rooting for anybody. Yeah. And this is the kind of series where I feel like I can get behind a series where I'm not totally rooting for the person, but I feel like this is the series where I'm supposed to be. So that's where I'm struggling. But I hope Darrow gets out of his funk, and I think he's going to. I'm imagining he will. And I actually found, like I said, I don't know, I still have conflicting feelings about Severo. Like, there was a scene where he punched a woman in the back of the head, which I'm like, I guess it was understandable given the moment and what was happening, but I kind of like Severo still. He's sort of this, like I said, he's kind of like the punk rock character, and I love him and Victra, and I guess I'm rooting for them.
I still want a shadow book about Severo, like, in like where Ender's Game, and then you had Ender's Shadow. Perspective. I need that with Severo
perspective.
Like the entire series, please.
If I don't say Cavax because I love the Telemonoses, my favorite currently is probably Victra. I've liked Victra ever since the end of Golden Sun, where she was so determined to make sure Darrow knew that she was not the traitor everybody thought she was. So I really like Victra currently, but I also really like Mustang. I really like the Minotaur. I'm so sad that I like Apollonius, but I really do like. Look at that, Victra's Pierce Brown's fave. Nice.
She's so cool. She doesn't pull any punches.
I loved her. I love Victra, and I love Victra and Severo, and I love their family. I love them.
Albert. I would follow Darrow into battle without question. He's the beating heart of the Republic, and the Senate are pixies who backstabbed him. They went full Roman Republic. Never go full Roman Senate.
He's Severo 2.0.
I just can't with Darrow. I feel like Pierce Brown's ready. The way he writes, you see it coming what Darrow does wrong. Like, it's so obvious the mistakes he's making. And so it bugs me so much because it's just Pierce Brown makes it so obvious. Like, hey, he did this. And then, like, at the end of the book, he gets what's coming to him for doing that. So I think that is part of the reason why I just can't get on board with Darrow, because the whole book I'm like, don't do that. And he does it.
No.
I'm really glad Pierce Brown didn't do the thing that he did in Morning Star and Golden Sun, where he like kept information from us, though. Like he didn't keep information that the POV character knew. I was just really glad that we didn't have that issue again.
If he had done it again, he doesn't care. Pierce Brown don't care.
He has 4 POVs. He has no excuse.
Yeah, I know. So, guys, thank you so much for being here, guys in the audience. Albert, the ultimate Darrow fanboy.
Yes.
Thank you, guys, people, viewers watching this. Thank you guys for joining us. Love you guys' comments. We will be back. We'll end the Feb Rising Readathon here in this month, talking about Dark Age, and I look forward to. Particularly this book, discussing it with you guys in the Discord about Dark Age. It's going to be fun. I'm eager to see what kind of predictions we had that paid off, and what's going to happen with these people. And then it's just we join the wait of everyone else waiting for book 6.
I think he said in a tweet that he had to trash like 200 pages that he wrote, so he like went way back and so sometime.
I thought it was like 600, honestly.
Oh God, I hope it's not 600.
I thought it was like most of the book.
Yeah, he's I mean, but he's writing it. I mean, he posts that he shows his Instagram where he's writing it and stuff. So maybe next year, guys. Maybe he'll finish it before this year, and we'll get it toward the end of next year or whatever. But we will definitely host a read along of that book for real when it comes out. So.
That should be exciting. Yay.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, if you're watching and you're not subscribed to all these 4 wonderful people, please sub to them. They are amazing people with amazing opinions. And even though Stephanie is an Ephraim's apologist, she's the only Ephraim apologist here. But other than Stephanie's Ephraim take, Stephanie has great opinions also. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
And broadcast.